Sahih al-Bukhari 2081. Narrated Abu Mas'udi.
An Ansari man, called Abu Shu'aib, came and told his butcher slave, "Prepare meals sufficient for 5 persons, for I want to invite the Prophet, along with 4 other persons as I saw signs of hunger on his face."
Abu Shu'aib invited them and another person came along with them.
The Prophet said to Abu Shu'aib, "This man followed us, so if you allow him, he will join us, and if you want him to return, he will go back." Abu Shu'aib said, "No, I have allowed him, i.e. he, too, is welcome to the meal."
Sahih al-Bukhari 2082. Narrated Hakim bin Hizam.
The Prophet aid, the buyer and the seller have the option to cancel or to confirm the deal, as long as they have not parted or till they part, and if they spoke the truth and told each other the defects of the things, then blessings would be in their deal, and if they hid something and told lies, the blessing of the deal would be lost.
Sahih al-Bukhari 2083. Narrated Abu Hurairah, R.A.
The Prophet said, "Certainly a time will come when people will not bother to know from where they earned the money, by lawful means or unlawful means."
Sahih al-Bukhari 2084. Narrated Aisha.
When the last verses of Surah al-Baqarah were revealed, the Prophet recited them in the mosque and proclaimed the trade of alcohol as illegal.
Sahih al-Bukhari 2085. Narrated Samura bin Jundab.
The Prophet said, "This night I dreamt that 2 men came and took me to a holy land whence we proceeded on till we reached a river of blood, where a man was standing, and on its bank was standing another man with stones in his hands. The man in the middle of the river tried to come out, but the other threw a stone in his mouth and forced him to go back to his original place. So, whenever he tried to come out, the other man would throw a stone in his mouth and force him to go back to his former place. I asked, 'Who is this?' I was told, the person in the river was a riba eater."
Sahih al-Bukhari 2086. Narrated Aun bin Abu Juhayfa.
My father bought a slave who practiced the profession of cupping.
My father broke the slave's instruments of cupping.
I asked my father why he had done so. He replied, "The Prophet forbade the acceptance of the price of a dog or blood, and also forbade the profession of tattooing, getting tattooed, and receiving or giving riba, usury, and cursed the picture makers."
Sahih al-Bukhari 2087. Narrated Abu Hurairah.
I heard Allah's Messenger saying, "The swearing by the seller may persuade the buyer to purchase the goods, but that will be deprived of Allah's blessing."
Sahih al-Bukhari 2088. Narrated Abdullah bin Abu Afa.
A man displayed some goods in the market and swore by Allah that he had been offered so much for that which was not offered, and he said so as to cheat a Muslim. On that occasion the following verse was revealed, "Verily, those who purchase a small gain at the cost of Allah's covenant and their oaths, they shall have no portion in the hereafter," etc.
3.77. Sahih al-Bukhari 2089. Narrated Ali.
I got an old she-camel as my share from the booty, and the Prophet had given me another from al-Qumas. And when I intended to marry Fatima, daughter of the Prophet, I arranged that a goldsmith from the tribe of Bani Kainuka would accompany me in order to bring it here and then sell it to the goldsmiths and use its price for my marriage banquet.
Sahih al-Bukhari 2090. Narrated Ibn Abbas.
Allah's Messenger said,
Allah made Mecca a sanctuary, and it was neither permitted for anyone before, nor will it be permitted for anyone after me, to fight in it.
And fighting in it was made legal for me for a few hours of a day only. None is allowed to uproot its thorny shrubs or to cut down its trees or to chase its game or to pick up its lakata, fallen things, except by a person who would announce it publicly.
Abbas bin Abdul Muttalib requested the Prophet, "Accept al-Adkir, for our goldsmiths and for the roofs of our houses." The Prophet said, "Accept al-Adkir." Ikrimah said, "Do you know what is meant by chasing its game?"
It is to drive it out of the shade and sit in its place.
Khalid said, Abbas said, "Al-Adkir, for our goldsmiths and our graves."